Hello readers, I'm Amy and today is going to be my first anti-TBR. I know there's a tag going around, but I actually want to make this a regular thing. I've been watching a lot of makeup videos lately, and some of my favorite makeup videos are the anti-hauls. And since I'm going to try not to buy any, or at least buy very, very, very few books in 2021, since I'm going freelance, I'm not going to have much of an income. I think that doing this anti-TBR will kind of help encourage me not to shop so much. So yeah, these videos are mostly for my benefit, but if you love a good anti-haul, then this is gonna be the video for you. I'm going to try and just stick to January book releases, but I know that like release dates change and not all of the release dates are necessarily going to be right, or like they might be different from site to site. Yeah, I'm gonna try and also stick to books that like I might actually kind of be interested in, so a lot of the YA fantasy I'm just not gonna talk about. Something else to note, you usually have like that one set of authors or that one genre of book that people most look forward to. So while this is an anti-TBR for me, maybe you're gonna find some books in this video that are gonna be interesting to you, and we can hype up some books that might not get as much attention. But that said, this first book I think has gotten quite a bit of attention. Across the Green Grass Fields, I should scooch to the side so I can edit this later. Across the Green Grass Fields by Shannon McGuire is, this website says January 12th, 2021. I'm definitely gonna read this. I'm not going to buy it. Also, like, buying a novella, they cost as much as a regular size paperback. It's a little insane. But I'm gonna use my library card to check out Across the Green Grass Field. So I'm not gonna be able to read it right when it comes out, but I am going to read it. I've read the other Wayward Children's books, and I'm really looking forward to that. And just as I say, I'm probably not going to be talking about fantasy, this one actually looks really interesting. I was caught by the cover of it. That's Into the Heartless Wood by Joanna Ruth Mayer. Epic, heartbreaking, and darkly atmospheric, Into the Heartless Wood is a story of impossible love between a monstrous tree siren and a boy who lives at the edge of her wood. I'm also not really a person for romance, but this just sounds intriguing. Watch as I just break all of my own reading stereotypes in these videos. The forest is a dangerous place where siren song lures men and women to their deaths. For centuries, a witch has harvested souls to feed the heartless tree, using its power to grow her domain. When Owen Merrick is lured into the witch's wood, one of her tree siren daughters, Seren, saves his life instead of ending it. Every night he climbs over the garden wall to see her, and every night her longing to become human deepens. But a shift in the stars foretells a dangerous curse, and Seren's quest to become human will lead them into an ancient war raging between the witch and the king who is trying to stop her. See, in reading that, I've just made myself significantly less interested. Some of you might be interested, in which case, totally check it out. Publishing date, again, says January 12th. It sounds kind of like a typical love story, kind of like Little Mermaid, but with a tree siren, so I've already talked myself out of it. Good for me. We have Siri, Who Am I? By Sam Shida, I'm gonna say, is maybe how you pronounce that last name. Says January 12th, debut novel, millennial who is trying to retrace her steps once she leaves the hospital. There's a billionaire with a chocolate empire. Not my kind of thing, but I can see other people liking this. It seems like a romance book, which tend to be fairly popular. I don't really reach for romance much. We have Remote Control by Nnedi Okorafor. I'm definitely not going to be picking that up. I do like science fiction. This one's supposed to be coming out January 19th, but Binti really, really disappointed me. If you haven't seen my review for that yet, I'll put it up in the cards. But that ending just, I thought the author was going to go there, and she didn't. So that, I'm like one and done with Nnedi Okorafor. Sorry, not sorry. The Forever Sea by Joshua Philip Johnson. Again, this is a fantasy. I don't know why I'm reading fantasy. Maybe this site just has a lot of fantasy on it. It is an environmental epic fantasy series, and the cover for this is gorgeous. A hearth fire keeper who's just beginning to fit in with the crew of her new ship. Her grandmother has stepped from her vessel and disappeared into the sea, but there's reasons to think that it is not an act of suicide. and she follows in her grandmother's steps. That sounds interesting. Environmental fantasy. I don't think I've read that genre yet. This is supposed to be an anti-TBR. But I'm looking at all the ones with the pretty covers, which are largely fantasy books. But I don't need any of these books. I'm not like desperate to read any of these except for Green Grass Fields, which I know I can get from my library because I know my library carries that series. Also the Brooklyn Library. So I don't live in New York, but if you pay $50, then as an out-of-stater, you can have one of their library cards, and they have a lot more book options than my library. That is one book purchase that I am definitely making in 2021. That was really worth it for me this year. And I know they're pretty good about getting books like Seanan McGuire. Some of these lesser known books I probably honestly wouldn't be able to find anyways. So that'll be how I talk myself out of it. Unchosen by Catherine Blair for January 26th. That has a gorgeous cover. I really like this kind of like watery, colorful artwork that people do. Fiercely feminist fantasy with a horrifying curse, swoon-worthy sea captains, and the power of one girl to choose her own fate. It's a contemporary standalone perfect for fans of the Fifth Wave and Seafire. I did enjoy the Fifth Wave. I've heard people didn't like that series. I didn't finish the series. I just read the one book, and I really liked it. But I don't need to read it. Just because it has a cool cover doesn't mean that it's a good book. I'll keep telling myself that. We've got an Angie Thomas book, Concrete Rose. This other website I just got on says January 12th. I'm not going to read that when it comes out. I still haven't read The Hate U Give. I know that everyone's supposed to have read that by now. I just haven't gotten there. I am a little put off knowing that it's YA because I don't read a ton of YA. It's not usually a writing style that particularly appeals to me. I am hoping to get to Angie Thomas eventually. And if I like that, I'll read this, but I'm not going to pick up Concrete Rose as a new release. It'll be a couple years probably until I get around to something like Concrete Rose. And again, that's just because I'm not a huge YA person. This one's called The Meet Cute Project by Rhiannon Richardson. Isn't there already a book called Meet Cute? Not that you can't have books with the same name, but it just feels a little repetitive. It's a romance. To All the Boys I've Loved Before meets Save the Date. So if you like those books, go ahead and pick it up. I'm not going to, honestly. And does it have a date? That listing doesn't have a date on it. Angel of Greenwood by Randy Pink. That is another gorgeous cover. Historical YA. I'm not gonna pick it up. Again, not big on YA. I'm not big on historical either. I like the idea of reading historical books, but they're usually just not quite that interesting to me. Ta-Nehisi Coates. I don't remember what else Ta-Nehisi Coates wrote, but I know he's a pretty well-known author. Coming out with another book, The Beautiful Struggle, a memoir. Oh, The Water Dancer and Between the World and Me. That's what he wrote. Okay. Have not read him yet. Might read him eventually. Not going to read this as a new release. If I pick it up, it'll be later. But it's a memoir. He grew up in the tumultuous 1980s in Baltimore, known as the murder capital back then. Interesting. Okay. So, some of you booktubers out there might really like this one. For Tiffany Schmidt, she's releasing a book called Bookish Boyfriends Get a Clue. So if that it all sounds like something you're interested in, go for it. Romance, I'm not gonna pick it up. It is bookish, so that's really interesting. I don't love the cover. I'm not much for covers that have like photography of people. I mean, in some instances it can be, or like if it's on a nonfiction, okay. But fiction that uses portrait photography, those are not covers that I'm particularly drawn to. Wider Than the Sky by Catherine Field Rothschild. I'm sorry, this site does not have much for release dates. Gorgeous cover. Again, I'm finding a lot of really beautiful covers. In the wake of a sudden tragedy, a pair of twin sisters uncovers a secret that rips open their world. I did really enjoy I'll Give You the Sun which went back and forth between twin perspectives. So that could be interesting. I don't know if that's going to be available through any library that I use, though. And I don't know if I'll pick it up. I might forget about it after this video, honestly. Okay, I'm intrigued by this one. Girl on the Line by Faith Gardner. Actually, looking at this particular website, I think these are all YA books. But I might pick this one up eventually. A story that begins where too many others end, Girl on the Line is an essential own voices tale of love, loss, and hope for fans of All the Bright Places and Girl in Pieces. I think I've been recommended All the Bright Places. I didn't love Girl in Pieces, though. Maybe I won't pick this up. I think the story for Girl in Pieces was good, but YA writing style wasn't totally my thing. The character's name is Journey. She has to figure out what her future looks like. Some days the pain feels as fresh as that day. The one with the pills, the hospital, and the end that didn't come. So I'm assuming that one's going to have some suicide in it. Or suicidality, so be careful if that triggers you. It does look interesting. Yeah, if it's like Girl in Pieces, I'm like, eh. Girl in Pieces also had like this romance thing that I just was not there for. Going to a third website. The Cousins by Karen M. McManus. Oh, that's for December 1st. That does look interesting, though. 3 teenage cousins who've never met are invited to a remote island to meet their rich grandmother for the first time and hopefully bring their families back into their good graces. The cover on this reminds me of the Roanoke Girls. With that kind of, like, wall of the house sort of thing, crossed off pictures. January 2021. There we go. The Wife Upstairs by Rachel Hawkins for January 5th. Dog walker and petty thief Jane sees her next mark in Eddie, the mysterious man in her neighborhood. As they fall in love, Jane is haunted by the story of his deceased wife. Is that supposed to have, like, Rebecca vibes? I don't know. I don't pick up a lot of mystery thrillers. I like them. They're very personal. A huge hit for one person is going to be a huge miss for another. So I don't tend to pick them up. And I like to find books that I really want to reread. I think that's what I tend to do. Like, if I pick up a book that I really love, I'll want to reread it. And mystery thrillers just aren't usually something that I'll reread. Like, I know all the answers already. Nick by Michael Ferris Smith. That's a historical fiction coming out January 5th. It caught my eye because the cover looks like The Great Gatsby and it says unofficial prequel to The Great Gatsby. See, I am definitely not picking that up. If you are not the original author, I'd prefer that you not write the sequels or the prequels. That's my personal opinion. I feel like this person's trying to profit off of The Great Gatsby. Maybe they are truly inspired by The Great Gatsby and wanted to be creative and come up with something, but it doesn't come off well to me. Whenever I look at that, I think you're trying to profit off of a classic. You got a similar cover so that anyone who likes the classic will pick up your, like, it just seems a little money grabby to me. That is my own personal perspective. I don't know the author. I have no idea what their mindset was on this. They're going to do what they're going to do. That's fine. People Like Her by Ellery Lloyd. Mystery and thriller, January 12th. There's a lot of releases on January 12th. Check out, whenever January 12th comes around, get yourself on the internet if you're looking for something to read. An Instagram influencer marriage begins to crack when her authenticity becomes a lie. Meanwhile, an obsessed fan begins to stalk her. That kind of sounds like a typical influencer story. Not that all influencers get stalked, but authenticity, some people use it on camera, some people don't. I understand people who don't. Like, putting yourself out there on the internet like this is not for everyone. Being completely candid with complete strangers on the internet, not for everyone. I don't know that I'm going to pick that one up. Yellow Wife by Sidikwa Johnson. I probably butchered that first name. Again, January 12th. Historical fiction, which isn't something I usually reach for, but it says, instead of the freedom from slavery she was promised on her 18th birthday, Phoebe Brown is sent to Devil's Half Acre, the most infamous slave jail in Virginia. That sounds fascinating. If this is available through my library, I will definitely try to pick that up. If it's not, I'm just gonna have to be brave and hold off and not buy it. It sounds really interesting though. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and end that here. So there's just some January book releases. Most of them I'm probably not going to pick up. Also, I have enough books that I need to read in 2021. This shelf next to me, if you've watched my recent video on my 2021 TBR, like, I pretty much got myself set for the year. It's another reason not to buy books. But library, that's okay. So if they're available from the library, some of them, maybe. But I'm going to try and concentrate on what I actually have and have been totally ignoring. So that's it for me. Please like, subscribe, be my friend on social media. I'll see all of you in my next video. Bye, friends.